Fallout is weird.
Work of the chupacabra.
You already know this, and that's why you love this world. But exactly how weird can it get? Everything we talk about today is canon in the Fallout universe, and some of this stuff gets a little freaky. I'm an avid Fallout fan. I mean, my whole channel consists almost entirely of Fallout. I'm no lore expert or master or whatever, but I've been around the block, and some of the things on this list still genuinely surprised me. So I have no doubt they'll surprise you. There's still a lot I don't cover of weird stuff in Fallout, but I'm going to in the near future. So maybe don't forget to click the sub button. Otherwise, my channel will probably fade into the obscurity of your YouTube algorithm. We're fairly small here, but we're worthy. Maybe just consider it. This is some of the weirdest lore in Fallout. Let's start with Brain. And no, I'm not talking about Calver, the brain in the jar found in the Point Lookout DLC who talks to you, or the courier's brain that is taken from the courier and has a whole other consciousness besides their own, or the robots that have human brains but they're still intact and running their functions, or the brains of the calculator found in Vault Zero in Fallout Tactics, or all the other brains that are needed for Rex to survive. Okay, you get the point. Brains are synonymous with Fallout it seems, and all those things could definitely qualify for this video. But I want to talk about a different kind of brain. Not an actual physical one. The brain I'm talking about is an albino mole rat that you can find in Fallout 2. Besides the obvious reference to Pinky and the Brain, what makes this guy so unique is that he's intelligent, and also sentient. In the desolate radiation-scarred landscape where the sun's rays are more foe than friend, there thrives a creature so singular in its existence that it could only be born from the chaos of the apocalypse. This creature is the Brain, an albino mole rat whose physical form belies the vast intellect housed within its grotesquely enlarged cranium. Residing in the underground labyrinth beneath the Gecko nuclear reactor, the Brain is not just surviving. He's plotting, scheming, with ambitions that stretch far beyond his subterranean lair. The Brain's appearance alone is enough to unsettle the bravest of wanderers. His pale, almost translucent skin contrasts starkly with the dark, damp environment he calls home. His eyes, though small, shine with a keen awareness that seems to pierce through the gloom, reflecting a mind at work, always calculating, always planning. But it's his brain, literally and figuratively, that sets him apart. Swollen to an almost comical size, it's a testament to the mutations that have not only altered his body, but amplified his mind. At the heart of Gecko, the Brain has established himself as the leader of the Renewal Cult, a group of ghouls yearning for a return to their human forms. Under his guidance, the cult seeks not just the survival, but their transformation. His leadership isn't about mere survival. It's about vision, about reclaiming a semblance of the humanity lost to the nuclear fires. This quest for renewal is symbolized by the Ankh, a sign of life and eternity, worn proudly by his followers, a beacon of hope in a world where hope is scarce. Yet the Brain's ambitions don't stop at the spiritual or the philosophical. He's a pragmatist, a strategist. His immediate goal is to forge an alliance with Vault City, a bastion of pre-war technology and knowledge. The deal he proposes is simple yet profound. Gecko's abundant nuclear power in exchange for Vault City's medical expertise, aiming to unlock the secrets of reversing ghoulification. This isn't just about power or survival, it's about changing the very nature of what it means to be alive in this new world. But with these grand schemes, there's a touch of the mundane that endears the Brain to those who encounter him. His love for cheesy poofs, a pre-war snack. It's a connection to simpler times, or perhaps just a creature's simple pleasure amidst complex plans. Sorry to get all logical and dramatic about it, but I feel like I had to paint a good picture for you guys. A lot of people haven't played the original Fallout games, and that's okay. They're like 100 years old. The kids would probably call them the Unk of the Fallout games. Or maybe that's actually the games I grew up with, and the originals are more like Great Unk.
I want the computer chip.
You don't have to lie either about playing the old games. It doesn't make you any less of a fan, but the old game's lore doesn't make this any less canon either. So there you have it, sentient mole rats that are canon in Fallout, and not only that, they have a bunch of quests for you to complete, and some serious moral complexities. It's really strange. Also, when I say they, I'm also talking about Brain's brother, King Rat, who's also a giant albino sentient mole rat. His goal is more in line with what you would imagine. Control all the dumber rats and kill all the humans. It's just classic mole rat behavior. He's a lot dumber than his brother though, and he has some rudimentary speech. Brain will even comment on his death, not even giving a care in the world. Switching things up from the OGs, let's check out one of the newer titles, Fallout 4. And even newer than that, let's go to Nuka World. Nuka World's full of weird shit, but the thing that I always remembered the most was Lucy Grantchester. If you know, you know. Let me paint another picture for those not aware. In the eerie outskirts of Nuka World, where the lines between amusement and horror blur, stands the Grantchester Mystery Mansion, a place where the past lingers with a spectral presence. At the heart of this ghostly narrative is Lucy Grantchester, a figure whose story weaves through the mansion's dark corridors like a chilling breeze. Lucy was born into the Grantchester family, a seemingly ordinary lineage until tragedy struck. According to the lore whispered through the mansion's tour, Lucy, driven by the forces beyond her control, took the lives of her parents, Morticia and Hannibal. This act of violence led her to confinement in a mental asylum. On the eve of her 18th birthday, she made a daring escape, only to meet a grim fate in the mansion's attic, where she was found hanging, a victim of apparent suicide. Now, Lucy's spirit haunts the mansion, not as the young woman she was at death, but as a child, forever trapped in the innocence she lost. Her ghostly form appears sporadically, her presence felt in the cold spots and the silence that follows her. Visitors to the mansion might catch glimpses of her figure disappearing around corners or through walls, as if the mansion itself is playing tricks on the senses. Lucy's interactions with the world are limited, yet profound. When encountered during moments of chaos or battle, she might flee, her ghostly form darting away from the conflict. There's an intriguing visual phenomenon associated with Lucy. When viewed from certain angles near the mansion's windows, her shadow seems to sprout wings, an optical illusion that adds to the mansion's mystique. Some might assume that Lucy is just another haunted house trick, an illusion to scare others and get their money's worth. But no, she's not part of the attraction. This is an actual ghost in Fallout, guys. Like, confirmed right in front of our eyes. By the way, she did die when she was 18, but she appears as a child in her ghost form. I'm sure we could have a whole psychological breakdown vid for why this is the case, but let's just move on from that. It's weird knowing that ghosts are canon in Fallout lore. But what if I told you it didn't begin with Lucy? It actually began with Anna Winslow, another ghost that can be found in the den in Fallout 2. Not a lot is known about her besides the fact that she maybe lived in the den before the bombs fell, but she is eternally stuck in her house because some jackass named Joey stole her locket. You can help return her locket to her and set her spirit free in the game. So yeah, another fully confirmed ghost. Once you know this, it kind of changes your mindset on the games. Things like the Dunwich horrors and the Lovecraftian stuff start to feel more real in the world, instead of just weird fourth wall Easter eggs or references. By the way, we have a whole video on Lovecraft references if you guys are into that stuff. Moving on from that obvious plug, can things get weirder than talking mole rats and actual ghosts? Yes. Yes, they absolutely can. Let me introduce you to the Psychers. No, not the ones from Warhammer 40k. Kinda similar in a sense though. In the shadowed corridors of the cathedral, there reside beings of extraordinary power known as the Psychers. These individuals are not merely followers, but the result of a grand, albeit cruel experiment by the Master, the leader of the Unity. The Master, in his quest for unity and power, sought to transcend the limitations of his mutant form through psychic abilities. His experiments, though fraught with failures, eventually bore fruit in the form of 4 Psychers: Wiggum, Gideon, Lucy, and more. These individuals were not just given power, they were transformed. Their minds and bodies altered to house abilities that bordered on the supernatural. The Psychers are kept under a force field within the cathedral, a measure perhaps to protect them, or more likely to protect others from them. Their existence is one of isolation. Their power is both a gift and a curse. To mitigate the pain and chaos their abilities could bring, each Psycher is equipped with a psychic nullifier, a device that dampens their powers, offering them a semblance of normalcy, or at least control. The Psychers are not just powerful, they're pivotal to the Master's plan. Their psychic abilities range from telekinesis to mind control, making them invaluable assets in the Master's bid for control over the wasteland. Yet their powers do come at a cost, a constant battle against the overwhelming sensations and thoughts that flood their minds. In the lore of Fallout, the Psychers represent the pinnacle of the Master's ambition and the dark side of technological and biological manipulation. They stand as a warning and a wonder, embodying the potential and peril of unchecked scientific exploration. Their existence questions the nature of power, control, and freedom, themes deeply woven into the fabric of the Fallout universe. Wiggum is probably the least insane of the group, but clearly the most depressed. He is an electric kinetic psyker, meaning he has electric type of psychic powers, I guess. You can even see small sparks of energy radiating off him. Gideon is the most coherent of the group and the one you talk to get most of your information on these guys. But he's still very loyal to the Master and believes in his mission. Gideon is the classic telepathic. though he can't control any of the thoughts that he hears, and he has to wear a nullifier because of this. Lucy has telekinesis, which is awesome, and Moore is a pyrokinetic. So fire stuff for those who don't know. I know what you're thinking. This is insane that we have 4 people in Fallout with actual superpowers. Or powers? I don't know how you describe them really. Honestly, all of these people seem to hate the fact that they do have these abilities. Master, of course, also has psychic abilities, but I feel like most people already know that. But these Psychers were super interesting to me. If you guys are feeling strange about all this supernatural lore, like if you've never heard it before, let me give you a quote from Josh Sawyer. He was asked about content like the Psychers. Quote, "A little bit is okay, and it feels like if we're going to accept some of the wacky science of the setting, we're already off the rails of strict realism. That said, I think it's best if it feels alien and remains more or less unexplained," end quote. It's a good summary of how most of this stuff feels in the games. When the lore breaks some of the boundaries, it doesn't really over-explain anything, keeping these events vague with little information so that the whole picture can never really be analyzed and mostly just experienced or observed. Maybe Bethesda goes a little too far sometimes. Looking at you, Mothership Zeta. But for the most part, I think they're keeping in spirit with what Josh said. I feel like in this context, we should also talk about Mama Murphy because she also has some psychic abilities. But in her case, it's a little different than the Psychers. Mama Murphy, an elderly seer from the Fallout universe, possesses a unique ability known as the Sight, which she enhances through the use of chems to enter a trance-like state. This power allows her to glimpse fragments of the past, future, and even present events, driven by a deep-seated desire to protect those she cares about. Despite knowing the health risks associated with her chem dependency, Mama Murphy views her role as a guardian of her community's well-being as paramount, a conviction solidified by past events where her lack of foresight led to vulnerability. Her history is marked by both her mystical abilities and a fierce past as a fighter, with tales of her physical prowess adding to her legendary status, including stories of defeating raiders and even a death claw with minimal means. Originally from Quincy, Mama Murphy's visions were both her blessing and a curse. Her predictions, though often doubted, held enough truth to be heeded, particularly when she foresaw the devastating Quincy massacre. Despite her warnings and the subsequent call for help from the Minutemen, the town fell, forcing her and few survivors, including Preston Garvey, to flee. Their journey was fraught with peril, eventually leading them to Concord, where they found temporary refuge in the Museum of Freedom. Here, Mama Murphy's visions continue to guide them, with a hopeful glimpse of Sanctuary Hills as their potential safe haven. However, her past connection with the raider leader named Jared, who sought to harness her powers for himself, led to an attack on their new sanctuary, highlighting the double-edged nature of her abilities. Why the chems give her the abilities is unclear. Maybe she was born with a gift. Maybe it's a mutation from radiation. Or it was from Jet awakening her latent Psyker abilities. There is no right answer because once again, they leave the supernatural vague. I'm sure you can find some YouTube video trying to explain how she might have gained her gifts. But the truth is that no one knows. It just is. The only concrete thing we know for sure is that once you take the chems away from her, her gift also goes away. So it is definitely associated with those chems. So yeah, I'd probably classify Mama Murphy as a Psyker in the Fallout universe, along with the other 4. And you thought I'd forget him. You're probably already typing in your comment. You forgot the Forecaster. He's a Psyker too. He can see the future and the past and has a nullifier. Of course I didn't forget the Forecaster. You can find him in New Vegas chilling under the 188 trading post. He's a kid that explains that he has constant headaches and the only thing that can alleviate them is his psychic nullifier, which he refers to as his medicine. He has the ability to see into the future or past. Well, at least we presume so. And he can give you some insight if you pay him to do so. But if you don't have the caps, he'll tell you it's alright and that you'll have the caps someday, which is pretty cool. Josh Sawyer was once again asked about the Forecaster, and he says he was inspired by the Psychers in Fallout 2. But that he regrets going a little over the edge. Anyways, psychics in Fallout confirmed. Okay, this is the last topic, and this stuff gets really weird and complex. I'll try to simplify it the best I can without losing any important details, but just know that these guys could be their own whole video. The hubologists stand out as a peculiar blend of cult and cosmic aspiration. Founded by the enigmatic Dick the Hub Hubble before the Great War, this sect believes in the universe governed by the Great Wheel, with Hubble at its center, his followers as the spokes and the uninitiated as the mere rim, destined to be enlightened or crushed by the truth. Their ultimate goal? To ascend to the heavens aboard the ESS Quetzal, to live with the Starfather on the planet Quetzal, escaping the earthly confines and the Neurodyne's negative energies believed to plague humanity. The hubologists' belief system is as bizarre as it is intricate. They preach the eradication of these Neurodynes through a process called alignment, using zeta radiation to cleanse the spirit. This purification, they claim, not only elevates one's spiritual status, but also their societal rank within the cult, denoted by an AHS, or Alignment Hub Score system. The higher one's AHS, the closer they are to the Star Father, with the cult's leadership, like AHS 9, holding the highest of ranks. This hierarchy is not just spiritual, but also financial. Members are encouraged to donate all their possessions, promising a path to enlightenment, but often leading to exploitation. Their presence in San Francisco, where their headquarters once stood on the ruins of the Golden Gate Bridge, and later in Nuka World, showcases their persistence and adaptability. In San Francisco, they're notorious, often at odds with the technologically advanced Shi, who view them with disdain. Meanwhile, in Nuka World, under the leadership of Daryl Hubble, they attempt to commandeer a UFO, which is actually an old amusement ride, for their cosmic escape, blending their mystical beliefs with whatever technology they can salvage or misinterpret. Let's be honest, as I'm telling you about these guys, you have a clear picture in your head of an organization in the real world that fits this bill, or maybe many of them. I won't say anything because, of course I won't say anything, but if you know, you know. This religion goes deep, really deep. It has to be the most fleshed out religion in the universe besides the Church of Adam. And I know you're already commenting, Confessor. I see you on all the videos.
Attend now to the words of the Prophet of Atom.
You'll first encounter these strange people in Fallout 2, where they have a base located inside of the NCR. You can go there and become a member if you'd like. You can also receive alignment, which will possibly give you more luck or an intelligence bonus. Then you'll also find them in Nuka World, where they ask for your help in repairing a broken UFO. Each time you help them, they realign you and remove your Neurodynes. But each time you have to pay more and more caps to go up each level. Here comes that organization in my head again. These do give you a bunch of radiation, but also an intelligence boost that only lasts for a few days. So I guess they're on to something, maybe? At least for a little bit. Or you could just take some mentats. You can also achieve AHS 8 ranking. 9 is reserved for the leader. The more you align, the more they tell you of their plans. By the way, if you haven't done this quest, then I would skip this next part, so you're not spoiled because it is kind of a fun one. Basically, you help them repair the UFO and prepare for their trip. They then ask you to add a certain amount of fusion cells to power the ride. You can do what they say and they'll just ride around in the ride for a while and act like it's ready to go. Or you could add more cells than needed, and it's honestly pretty hilarious. But very evil, guys. Do not do this. The hubologists are wacky, and I didn't even tell you about the finer details of their belief system, or the fact that in Fallout 2 you can discover that the whole thing is a hoax and an exploitation system. So if you're still interested, go read or watch something about them. Very cool, but weird lore. That'll do it for this vid. We still have a lot to talk about in a future vid, like the tunnelers, the talking deathclaws, and the elusive burrows. So please sub, because you don't want to miss out on the awesome lore, right? Anyways, remember that enjoyed time is never wasted time, and I'll see you in the next.